And we are live. You're not muted, are you, Justin?
No, I don't think so. Nope.
Oh, good. Perfect. Anyway, we're live. Hello and welcome to Developer Insights. Hey, it's an important question.
That's true.
I'm David.
And I'm Justin.
And together we are the leads on game development and design here at Codename.
We also founded Codename too.
That's true. We're going to be your hosts for this episode and for every episode.
Because when we're not here, the show doesn't happen.
Yep, it is still true.
Nobody knows how to run it. Today is our 156th episode.
Perfect. And without any further ado, let's get right into some questions.
Wait, what? No, that's not how this works. First, we have to delay for a bit while new questions come in.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm pretty new at this.
What do you mean? This is our 156th episode.
Well, so I've got what, 155-ish hours of experience doing this?
Yeah.
And you need about 10,000 of experience doing something before you can become a master at it. So we're only like 1.5% of the way there.
Oh yeah, that's a really good point. All right, let's try again from the top.
All right, here we go. Hello, and welcome to our relatively new show, Developer Insights. I'm David.
And I'm Justin. And today we are here to answer development and design questions about idle champions.
That's true. If you don't ask any questions, however, you may have to suffer through Justin's one-man reenactment of Groundhog Day. The Bill Murray movie, right? Not the actual day.
Yes. But instead of the day from the movie repeating, it's this day. In fact, this is the 756th time that I've looped through it. I already know all the questions that we're going to get, and I know everything you're going to say in this episode.
Oh, yeah? Well, guacamole, cheeseburger, Earl Grey, hot.
See?
That's spooky.
Yeah.
Anyway, as always, we have pulled forward
some questions
from the previous show that we didn't get to, and we were going to answer some of those while we are waiting for new questions to come in. But before we get to those, we do have some. Oh no, I don't actually have any updates on that today. Sorry.
Nope.
So without any further stalling for time, let us get started with those.
Alrighty, we have some questions.
I mean, I will as soon as my document scrolls here. Okay. All right.
I knew that you were going to take a while to get up there.
First question. This one is from Squidrot. That's a wonderful name. Squidrot would like to know, when applying blacksmith contracts to a champion, could we get an indicator that shows the current average eye level of the champion being upgraded so that we don't have to back out the champion list to see their updated current average?
Yeah, I think that's probably something we can do.
Seems reasonable. Do it.
Yeah, part of the last update we did on Thursday was, or not Thursday, yeah, no, Wednesday. Part of the update we did yesterday, rather, was to increase item level visibility throughout the game. And that is something that we would still like to get updated. There's several places that we didn't quite get to as part of the update yesterday, and so we would like to update those. So I think that this is one of those places where we could probably put an average item level indicator that updates as you open blacksmith contracts.
Yeah, I know you tried to sticky them on everywhere, but we didn't get time to sticky them everywhere.
Yes.
Okay.
Spent a lot of time on the chest opening screen and not a lot of time on the other ones.
Yep. So they'll get there eventually, probably.
Yes, they'll get there due.
Okay, next question. This one is from Foolish Genius 89, and they are asking, if you have both of Shadowheart's alignment feats slotted, what is the intended result? Both alignments at the same time, one or the other, some sort of universal implosion?
So my understanding of this was that we were going to put some code into place so that...
to prevent the universal implosion.
You can't actually have them both equipped at the same time. So I think what will happen is if you try to equip one, it will say, hey, this is going to unequip this other one, and then it will unequip. I think if you were to somehow, through using an older client or something, get them both equipped at the same time, I'm not sure what would happen. Probably the universal implosion.
No, we've got universal implosion crumple zones that we've put in place. So those would,
It's a localized universal implosion just on your computer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Without those, utter chaos. All right, next question. This one is from Morlin Wist, asking, is there any design reason why we need to click twice to accept both the daily free reward and the daily boost reward. Why not just have one button to click rewards, period?
Yes, so there is actually a design reason why
do remember this discussion.
we've done this, and it goes back to something we learned a very long time ago in our game design
development
journeys.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so way back in even like Eggbreaker 1, the very first game that the
very first
company,
Eggbreaker,
that Codename, or DJ Arts as it was called back then, released. And we learned that if somebody doesn't click a button or take an action to get something, a certain percentage of people will think they didn't get that thing. And so,
yes.
I think it went back to like event rewards or something like that back in our first thing, where we just gave out the event rewards without any sort of like, I think maybe we did a pop-up that said like, hey, you got these things, and then we gave them out. And we got a number of tickets from people who are like, I didn't get the things, like I didn't see it go into my inventory or whatever. And we found that the way to solve for that was by having people take a specific action in order to claim a thing. So they had to click a button, they had to, do something to confirm that they were getting a thing.
Usually I don't even have anything alternate to click a button. Just stare at it.
I led that into, I led that as if there was another thing, but it's really just click a button. And so that is why we generally, for claiming rewards, for doing things like that, we try to make sure that you are clicking a button or taking an action yourself in order to claim those things.
So a few people ruined it for everyone else. Yes.
I think that I think our fear was by having them both on one, we would have people who click claim and then went and opened a ticket and said, I only got 10 platinum today instead of the 30 I was supposed to get, even though they did get their full 30. But by having them on separate buttons, you can see you clicked your 10, you clicked your 20, you got them both, and I don't think we've gotten a ticket to date or a complaint.
I think there was also some question around how that behaved if you hadn't, if you had claimed your reward and then you had purchased the bonus track.
Yes,
where you would
that
not
was
have,
another.
Did that automatically credit the piece? I don't know. Anyway, at any rate, it was simpler to have the two buttons. To handle that.
Yeah, I think it's just cleaner. It's we talked about it. It's one more click a day. We didn't think it was the end of the world to have that kind of
no universal implosion from the two buttons.
Yeah.
Yes.
A little bit more, certainty around that. So
yeah,
that is why we did that.
And you'll see that actually across the game in terms of like a design philosophy, that everything that gives you something requires you to actually click to accept it when it's of an item of that nature.
We're not made of clicks here, says OG17.
But it's a clicker game.
It's a clicker game.
Okay. On to new questions from today. And the first question out of the gate here is from Foolish Genius 89 asking, the top of my screen has 3 static banners and 1 rotating one. Can something be done about the unclosable top banners? Sorry, for a moment there, I pictured like television static and one banner that was just rotating like
static banners.
Yeah.
It's not ideal right now with the 3 up there. The
to the claim buttons.
The emergence will go away soon. I think that's the first one to go, and then of course the vault one will go away when the vault ends. So generally we just have the daily rewards one up there, and we've talked about why that's up there right now. I mean, I'm not super happy about having so many things up there, but we've talked about sort of the lack of UI space and the challenges with UI in the past, and it's not something that has magically resolved itself. So we have to have notifications somewhere, and that's where they end up.
Is somebody hearing a whir? Oh no, every time.
That's right. Whirring is part of the charm here on Dev Insights.
Yeah, I think it's the projector.
Maybe by the 10,000th episode, we will have figured out how to make it stop.
We'll be experts at it,
We'll be experts at fixing whir.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okie dokie. Next question. This one is from the Library of Akasha. Suggestion, multiple patron mode, ? Select to run 1 to 5 or 6 patrons at once to get weekly challenges and variants done faster in exchange for increased restrictions for those who know what they are doing. Local patron perks of the patron selected. Any idea how to balance it? Maybe even include no patron. I just like how you have to do no patron run to unlock the patron variants. It's not like the patron variants are that much harder. All right, there's a lot in that. Parse it.
Okay. Yes. So there's also a part 2 to this.
There's a part 2? Oh yeah, there's a part 2.
I will try to answer this.
Start with part 1.
So I think we've talked about a multi-patron mode before. I think we've talked about it within the idea of basically a challenge mode of some sort where you can turn on various challenges. I think we may have talked about the idea of a challenge Modron core, where you can put a Modron core onto a party and it will have a bunch of outputs that you can route the power into. Route.
Both
You can have the
fine.
power go into. And based on which nodes you are powering, different restrictions would be active on that party. So one of the restrictions that you could activate on the party would be, there'd be an output for each patron to add that patron's restrictions to it. And maybe that could interact in some way with patron challenges. I don't know. But we have kind of talked about this. I haven't thought too much about it beyond kind of just talking about it on Dev Insights. Because it's definitely like a very, very advanced, super like end game dedicated player kind of feature. I think for the most part, the large majority of people playing the game wouldn't find much value in that. But I can definitely see it being like a super hard challenge for people who are super late in the game and are just looking for fun things to do. But yeah, at this point, I haven't thought too much about just the idea of just flat out enabling multiple patrons at once for the purpose of doing multiple challenges at once. I think there would also be like you couldn't obviously enable all 5 patrons, because I think you'd be down to like 2 champions or something like that. Maybe it's like 10 or 15 or something like that champions. And most of those would probably not be the ones that you were required to use for patron challenges and stuff. So there's a point at which it wouldn't be super useful. But I like the idea of it for a challenge mode down the road, but not kind of as default behavior right now.
Okay. And then part 2. I wouldn't mind jumping into a patron variant that I am comfortable with and skipping over the no patron version of that variant. Then the question would be, what kind of thing would you want to add to make us work for the gems or other rewards you would have gotten for completing the no patron variant if it is running concurrently with a number of patrons?
Yeah, I mean, I think the way that we have that routed right now, that's going to be the word of the day.
Routed?
Routed.
Rooted.
Rooted.
Routed, rooted?
The way that we kind of have the pathing on that right now of doing the base adventure, then doing variants of that adventure, then doing variants of that adventure with the patron restriction kind of makes it get more difficult each time you kind of go through that set. And so I like the way that goes. I would hesitate to kind of let you skip the no patron version and go directly into the patron variant version. So I think that that's probably a non-starter. And if we're not going to do that, we don't have to think about what we would do with the rewards from the base adventure or the base variant needing to be doled out later on.
Okay. Let's see. Next question. This one is also a suggestion and also from the Library of Akasha. Could you please make the Trials of Tiamat cooldown like the weekly offers? If I listened correctly, it is locked to a certain time on one of the 7 days of the week, as long as you logged in, or in this case, finished the trial.
Yeah, that's an interesting kind of suggestion. So yeah, right now, Trials kind of has, so it doesn't have as much of a problem with this as other things, because you can actually, if you finish a Trials early, you can actually start another one 6 days after your previous one. So it doesn't really have the same drift problem that weekly offers had, because you have 7 days to do it. and you can run the same. You can, like, if you start yours on Monday every week, you can run it on Monday every week, no problem, unless you happen to not kill Tiamat, in which case it'll take the full 7 days, and then you'll potentially have a little bit of drift. But I think that would still happen even, yeah. I don't know that that there'd be a lot of value in trying to change the way that works. Because yeah, if you take the full duration to try and defeat Tiamat, or maybe you just barely lose, you'd still have that drift happening because the duration of a trials run is at most 7 days. So I think we'd have to shift some other things around, and maybe when we're looking at reworking trials, which is something we plan to do at some point in the future, we can look at sort of the duration of a full run and whether it makes sense to kind of shift that around to try and make it so there's sort of a 1 day in the week that you can expect to be starting kind of regardless of whether you win or lose.
Okay. Yeah, someone in the chat asked when are those game hens in the fireplace going to be done? I hate to break it to them, but I think that's sort of, they're well overdone.
Yeah.
It's like, the turkey from National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation?
Yeah, it smells like very, very burnt chicken in here, I gotta say.
Sorry, that was me. All right.
That's just Dave's scent.
Burnt ode to burnt chicken. Next question. This one is from Emote. These scrolls of champion summoning from the Epic Game Store mobile thing, how are we meant to use them if we have every champion? Can't use them on champions we already have, and can't use them on a brand new event champion before unlocking them because they're hidden from the shop until their event ends.
Yeah, that is a great question. So I mean, the initial kind of answer is the scrolls of champion summoning are really intended for earlier game players, and so the way that promo worked, and the initial kind of send out on that promo was to an email list I think we got of people who opted in to receive emails from us when they first added Idle Champions to their library in the Epic Game Store.
That's right.
And we were kind of looking at those as being a whole bunch of people who had probably lightly engaged with the game or had not really engaged with the game. Because I know that we had a large number of people add the game to their library during one of like the free sort of giveaway things that we did, but a large percentage of those people never actually installed the game or played it, and so that's really who we were targeting with those champion scrolls. Of course, we also sent those out to people who were very into the game and maybe had all of their champions, and once sort of people started to get those, it also became a thing where people who hadn't opted into the emails were like, we want it too. And so we basically had to expand that to a much larger cohort than we originally intended that to go out to, which includes people who already have all champions. So with all of that said, I think we have to think about exactly what it is that those scrolls could do for people who already have all of the champions unlocked. Because it does feel like we need to get something in-game that people can kind of...
The short answer is you weren't intended to use those if you had every champion, and we didn't think of something of that case.
Yeah.
So, but it does seem fair to think of something for that case.
I think it seems fair to think about what we can do with that. On the upside, they were free, so they're they're taking up a little bit of space in your inventory, but otherwise, luckily in this case, it's not something you paid for that you can't use. Though there was that case with people who bought the starter packs that had these in them. I can't remember exactly what we did with those people, but I think we handled that manually.
You keep it as a rainy day. Oops, I missed an event.
Yeah, I had to go on vacation, missed an event. Yeah. But yeah, we'll have to think of something more permanent that we can do if these continue to be something that we kind of give out in giveaways. Because we've found that the champions of, or the scrolls of champion summoning actually were really enticing for people to get. Champions are one of the first things that people who start playing the game want to get, and so being able to get a champion and gear them up sort of right out of the gate was super super good for those players.
Okie dokie.
Anywho.
Next question. This one also from Emote. The new average eye level shown on the chest tab of the shop. Switch to scientific notation at e to the 4. Could this please be increased to e to the 7, where it starts saving space? We can look at that.
Yeah, I think we can look at that. I'd really like for some of these. In an ideal world, I think there's different use cases for different players about when these change from exponential or from decimal to exponential kind of stuff. So it'd be really cool to have just like a thing in the options that has each of the different sort of locations, and you can kind of shift it around, whatever makes sense for you. But yeah, I think we can look at this and potentially make some changes there. I'm surprised that we did have that switch so early. Because I'm pretty
it's just
sure
the default, isn't it?
I'm pretty sure I called that out as like we should not do this until the
maybe somebody missed it.
or E7 range. I think we had a discussion about that. Maybe it's a slightly different place than the chest tab in the oh, it's in the chest tab in the shop. Yeah, that's a different place than I'm thinking about. Yeah, we can definitely look at that. No problema.
All right. Next question. This one is from OG17. What closed/open schedule will the vault have? And why does it need a limited time aspect? Character chests were already available by opening a time gate. It seems like if someone wants to buy more, you'd want them to be immediately accessible with this vault instead of making it an obstacle.
Yeah, so the vault is it's a new feature that we're going to kind of play with. Over time, we'll try some different vaults with different things in there.
What's in the vault?
Maybe we'll try some different kind of discounting. It doesn't necessarily always need to be stuff that costs platinum as well. So I think that that's something that we're kind of using as a bit of a black box to play around with doing these kind of limited time sales, try and drum up a little bit of interest in certain things. I think chests we specifically started with chests because we knew we were doing these item level surfacing things at the same time, and we wanted people to have an opportunity to, grab some chests, open them, see these cool new changes that kind of really make it clear where your item levels are going and how many you're getting from platinum chests specifically. And so that's why we chose chests for the first one. But I think we could do other things in the future. And yes, chests are already available by opening a time gate, but that's also a little bit of it's not really advertised anywhere in the game. It's not very clear to sort of newer players or mid-game players that if you want chests for a certain champion, if you want to buy chests for a certain champion with platinum, you need to spend 6 time gate pieces, open a time gate, and then you can get the chests for them. We don't really lay that out anywhere. So this was just an easy way to make it easier for people to get the chests for the champions they want without having to jump through any hoops. And certainly, I mean, from the numbers I saw, a lot more people engaged with buying champion chests yesterday than on any day in the recent past. So I think it certainly did what we were hoping it would do by making those all available for everyone at once. But yeah, I think as far as the vaults go in general, I think we'll kind of see what happens in the future. We've got some plans for them, but I think we're going to keep them as a bit of a surprise as we move forward each month or each couple of months or however often we run them.
Mm-hmm. Did you know it's our Twitch partner anniversary, Justin? Or at least that's what the chat keeps saying?
I didn't, but I mean, I haven't seen
Where
a
is
cake
that
or anything
listed?
from Twitch, but I'd really like it.
You'd like a cake.
I would like Twitch to send us a cake. I mean,
okay.
I just personally want cake pretty much all the time. So I think if it's an anniversary or birthday, like, where's my cake?
Yeah, I mean, do you need cake?
Yes.
Oh, okay. All right. Next question. This one is from Emote. Any updates on the status of Stokey? What's the status of Stokey? Is she okay?
Yeah, I don't have any updates on Stokey. She is on my list to look at and see if there's anything simple we can do that doesn't require tech, basically any data changes we can do to kind of make her a little bit more powerful. Really, I did talk about this with Pete, my fellow designer, and the sort of the low-hanging fruit that is a more major thing than just a regular low-hanging fruit would be to shift her to a different seat. But I really hesitate to do that, especially outside of a rework. So I think for now there are some minor things that we're going to try to do. Like having some champions who are maybe who would maybe work really well with Stokey's kit, but at this point, nothing super major to do. And I see Library of Akasha saying that we did it once before with Jaheira, and that is true. We did move Jaheira's seat. That is the only champion in the game that we've ever moved their seat after release, and it wasn't horribly received. But we did do it as part of a rework rather than part of just like a random sort of balance update between patches. So I don't think that's the same thing as doing sort of a secondary kind of Stokey update here.
Okay. Next question. This one is from Library of Akasha. It's a suggestion. Could you please change it so that if you already have all 6 shinies and get a guaranteed shiny from a chest pack, it turns into a potion of polish? I think that's fair considering generally packs are either paid only or events. Also, could you please add some sort of polish droplet system? I'd much rather have potions of polish droplets than item levels. And a certain amount of droplets becomes a potion.
Yeah, it's an interesting question about paid guaranteed shinies, because they basically do the same thing that that random shinies from silver and gold chests do, which is they turn into 125 item levels if you get them in the same slot. I'd have to think about whether or not that is what we want to do. That's possible, but I'd have to think about maybe all the implications of that, because there might be something I'm not thinking about just kind of off the top of my head right now.
Blacksmith contracts use shiny potions as ink. Yeah. All right. What do you think? Should we do something different?
Should we do something different?
Yeah, it's an
like
answering
different
a question.
from what we've done the last
last 700 whatever times you claimed we've done this.
times.
I mean, you would know.
I mean, define different, and I'll tell you whether we've already done it in one of the previous 755 loops.
Give away some chests.
Actually, we haven't done that yet.
Perfect. Let's do it.
Okay, so it's time for a chest giveaway. We're going to give away 42 gold chests of your choice. We've never done this before on the show. It can be any type of chest that exists in the game except for Gloria Bahamut chests. And it definitely has to be a type of chest that exists. But the way you enter is very shortly there will be a code word in chat. All you have to do is copy and paste that code word into chat and press enter, and you'll be entered into the draw. There are no other requirements. You don't have to answer a skill testing question. You don't have to do any math. That's what we generally have to do in Canada for a sweepstakes.
Yeah, there's some rules about that, except in Quebec.
Except in Quebec, yes.
Then they just don't get them.
Yeah, you can. I think you can win this if you're in Quebec. I don't think we have any specific rules against that. We might be going afoul of the law. Anyway, it can be any type of chest that exists in the game. Modron component chests are what I would go after. I might also go after some gold Diana chests. I've been using a lot of Diana recently. I'd like to get my gear a little bit better on her. What other types of chests are there?
I mean, I do enjoy an educational chest or an interactive chest. I don't mind a survival chest. Or a sandbox chest
would be useful.
Maybe a good racing chest. That's a good type of chest. You know, it's really a fast chest.
Yeah.
Or, a strategy. Oh, they got it. They got it. Didn't even get to my survival horror chest.
Oh, a survival horror chest. Yeah,
it's like a mimic. Don't open that chest.
Sounds even worse than a survival chest. Well, I mean, a survival chest sounds useful. A survival horror chest does not sound useful.
It's got teeth.
Yeah.
Sneak up on you from behind. Never has any actual treasure in it.
Yeah. Anyway, good luck to everyone on entering that very unique chest giveaway that we've never run before.
Perfect. I mean, it's going to have a unique winner.
Yeah.
I can't even guarantee that. Drift. Okie dokie.
Alrighty.
Next question. This one is from Library of Akasha, and it's also a suggestion. Could you please make a button to hide common patron shop potions? I have accidentally bought them more than once, and it is endlessly frustrating. Mainly due to trying to buy weekly Timegate fragment and a Modron chest around reset time. The lag makes you click the wrong thing.
Lag. It makes you do it.
That's right. That's why if you're lagging, you shouldn't use the washroom.
That's true.
It's a serious problem.
What is that? That's like a video from like 30 years ago of like God, you're really showing your age there. But I mean, they've probably redone it. There's probably like a modern TikTok version of the like real life with lag.
Yeah, probably.
But I think maybe internet's gotten good enough that people don't even think about that kind of latency issues that we had when we were kids of like, hey, I'm running around shooting in Quake and all of a sudden I got a 5-second ping.
Oh, it'll ruin your game right there.
Anywho, what was the question again? Oh, yes. A button to hide common patron shop items. I think we already have this on our to-do list. I'm not sure where it is on the list, but I'm pretty sure we've talked about this before and we've highlighted it in yellow and sent it off to the Peter train that gets everything done eventually. So yeah, I think this is something we'd like to do, like a hide sort of generic items that would include probably just the potions. Maybe it should be hide potions. And then you could buy your Timegate pieces and your...
Is it just a sorting issue? Would it make sense if they were just sorted differently?
I mean, the shop is sorted by the amount of influence that is required to purchase something, and the potions are a pretty low amount of influence. So
we just, sort it by popularity. We could add a new sort option.
Yeah,
yes, I know. It wouldn't make sense as a default sort, but
yeah. I think it would have to be a hide item or a hide potions or something like that. Yeah, because I think there's a checkbox. Says there's a checkbox that says hide unavailable items. I'm certain we could add a checkbox for
hide items that I'm not personally interested in. And
items.
Please clairvoyantly determine that.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, and we can just use the same tech that the clairvoyant admin chests use to know what items people want to have hidden. Just reuse the tech, Dave. You say that tech exists. Just reuse it.
These things don't come free. There's a cost to using that tech.
Is it a cost to your soul?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Nothing is free. Okay. Next question. This one is from Rough Rider 1995, asking, will all patron excluded champs be forced into the variants that require them so that we can complete them? Hitch is unavailable for the Elminster version.
Yes, so there's a variant called Hitch in the Mortuary that is a variant of one of the more recent adventures, and yes, it does not work on Elminster. And we've had a discussion about this internally about which direction we want to go, because historically when we have variants where, the patron variants where one of the key champions isn't available, what we will do is we'll just make that patron variant not available for the patron. So I think we did that once with a Minsk variant. For one of the patrons that doesn't allow Minsk. But I think our thinking on this is kind of evolving to, if there's a champion that is key to the adventure, we should just allow it in there, even if the patron wouldn't normally allow that champion to be used, because I think that's just cleaner. It just allows you, it still allows you to run the variant with a different kind of setup, because the supporting champions would all probably be different. But I think that that is probably the direction we will go moving forward. It's just a matter, I think, at this point of going back through all of the variants that could potentially be affected by this and making sure that they will now function properly in their patron versions. So that's the direction we're looking at going. I don't have an ETA on when those changes might be made, but when those changes are made, I would expect to see a couple of variants per patron sort of pop into existence where they may have been disabled in the past.
Well, I'm seeing in the chat, they're suggesting the cost is actually toes. They say Dave only has 3 toes. You guess the cost. But I tell you, it's the opposite. Every time I use it, it adds a toe.
Wow.
And now I'm just like really out of balance because it's sort of RNG on which foot. And well, we wrote the RNG apparently. So it's all on one.
It's all on one foot.
Yeah. It's really making shoes very difficult to buy.
Well, but you're very good now at towing the line.
Ooh. It's actually a real problem when I go to stub my toe. All right.
Yeah, this is
next question is from OG17. Can Evergreens get the standard GE assigned to their chest bundles? Vault showcased how Belushi, Ren, etc. chests include no GE. Unsure if core characters are the same, but they should have one too. It's particularly glaring as the core and Evergreen chests have minuscule value given they get eye levels from normal chests. The GE would be the main draw.
Yeah, so I think we were talking about this internally, and I think if we run a chest vault again, I think we would probably try and draw the GEs from the wild offer pool in general for each of the champions rather than just using their chest shop ones, because that would probably mean that in most cases, or certainly in more cases than we had in this chest vault, you would have 10 or 5 GEs to go along with the chests that were offered in the bundle. So I think probably we could make some changes there. And yeah, it was a bit of an oversight that the Evergreen and core champions didn't have GEs associated with them. It was a bit of a last minute add to add the Evergreens and cores to there, because we noticed that with brand new accounts that didn't have a lot of champions unlocked, that it was generating an offer that had less than the number of expected champions in it, and that was leading to some issues. So I think adding some GEs in there where appropriate from the wild offer pool, I think is the direction we go. And then we probably try and think about whether there's something we can do if you happen to have all the GEs for a champion already, because in that case we'd probably have to have something else in there to act as a sweetener for that pack.
All right. Next question. This one is also from OG17, asking, Platinum chest pack give twice as many chests, but that seems to only exclude Modrons, so you're left with cash Modron chests giving half of the new norm. Is that deliberate, or should they be adjusted along with the Emergence Shop Modrons? Also, is it deliberate that the themed Emergence chests are still gold? They were already a weak option, and now you get 4 at the same cash cost as a 6 plat chest pack with a GE and a buff.
Okay, so let's unlock
this
this
apart.
here. Yeah. So Modron chests being different from Platinum chests, that is intentional. The reason we added more chests to the sort of the Platinum chest packs is because Platinum chests are about getting item levels for your champions, and we wanted to give more item levels for the champions. And we wanted specifically for those item levels to be more evenly spread, which means more chests. I think we started looking at just keeping the number of chests the same and having a bigger item level bonus for each duplicate item. And what we saw through simming on that is that when you got like a 3 chest pack, you were more likely that those item levels would be not distributed very evenly across the equipment. So more likely to get like 200 item levels on one piece of equipment and 0 on another piece. So that's one of the reasons why we added more chests to those packs, is because we're very focused on the number of item levels that you're getting per sort of platinum, per dollar, per whatever on those. With Modron chests, I think the stuff in there is already really enticing. And so we decided not to look at, not to increase the number of chests there, because they're already, the stuff you get from there, it's not item level driven, and the amount was already kind of balanced for the cost. With the themed emergence chests being gold. I think that's probably an oversight.
Yeah,
If there's platinum versions of those, like if you can buy those, I don't know if you can buy them for platinum. Can you only buy them for? I think you can only buy them for corrupted gems. In which case, that's probably why they're still gold, because the platinum chests, we're trying to limit those to chests bought with platinum. So I'd have to look and double check what's going on there. Because if you can buy more of the emergence chests with platinum directly, then I could see making those packs platinum and then have the extra item levels and whatnot. But if they're just gold and you just buy them one at a time for corrupted gems, then unfortunately we don't know whether you're buying them with the free corrupted gems that you're getting or whether you paid for corrupted gems or whatnot. So that's probably why we kept those as gold. To be fair, I mean, the corrupted gem system was sort of a little bit of dipping our toe in the water at a kind of hard / soft currency, a sort of mix of a paid and a free currency. And it probably is due for a little bit of a reevaluation now that we've got a full paid currency with platinum in the game. So that could change in the future.
Yeah, it's a good question for that one. A little bit of overlap there. Mm-hmm. All right, next question. This one is from Truwan Hedda. Can we get a function that automatically move a familiar to that character's alt once they reach the soft cap? So I assume that's a familiar that is on a character leveling them up. Or is it just in general, move any familiar to the character's alt once they reach the soft cap?
I'm not 100% sure. I highlighted this being not 100% sure what
yeah, when I read it, I thought you'd want to, once they hit soft cap, to stop leveling them and start alting them, but maybe.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure. So True on Heda, if you are still in chat, if you could kind of clarify exactly what you're asking. Because I'm not sure what this is asking for. Stop leveling and start alts. Yeah, I mean, so it is just like once they reach the soft cap, just move that familiar up to the ultimate bar. I guess that would be useful if you're in a situation where you've got a smaller number of familiars. If you're kind of rationing your familiars and you want to put them on to level up, get them to the soft cap, and then transfer them up to do ultimates. Because ultimates, before you're at your soft cap, before you're at your kind of wall, ultimates aren't going to be doing all that much. They might be moving you forward a little bit faster, but probably not that much faster. So yeah, I'm not sure if this is something we would do. It seems pretty edge casey. I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, it feels like something that if it was requested by a large number of players, we could consider it, but it does seem a little edge casey.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure how we would make that work, right? Like because some players wouldn't want that to happen.
It would have to be an option, I think, set somewhere to automatically do that.
Where you put it, and people might want it on some champions, but not others.
That would be the immediate next request. Yeah. So it would be like a per champion setting. I don't know. It does feel like it's probably not something that would get wide enough use to sort of prioritize looking into, but it's an interesting idea.
Yeah.
Next question. This one is from Will Manitor. Asking, will Lucini YouTube ever receive regular updates? The Twitch VODs are poor, and the latest update was on the 4th of December. Mm-hmm. And there's a comment here, which I assume is from Sean, saying, oof, that's on me. Updates are coming soon, TM.
Yes. Yeah.
So that's the answer.
Yeah.
Sean, you heard it here. Sean is promising them.
Gosh, Sean.
Okay.
If only he didn't have to moderate us schmucks up here.
Wait a minute. Moderate. Well, we're not getting moderated.
He's not
chat's
moderating
being moderated.
us,
Are you calling them schmucks?
No, I'm moderating for us.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Careful there.
If he had 1 extra hour per week, he could have gotten this done. But unfortunately, we are sucking that time up.
Slurping. No, that sounds weird. All
I'm
right.
just trying to jump on the grenade, okay? I'm trying to help.
You missed.
Yeah.
You landed next to
I
it.
landed beside the grenade, and now we're both dead.
Yeah. It's just worst case scenario. Okay, next question. This one is from OG17, asking, do platinum chests not give bonus eye levels if applied to an empty slot? If so, could this be tweaked so new unaware players don't waste them, as would be natural to do when purchasing characters?
Yeah, so platinum chest, the bonus item levels are applied on duplicates. So when you get a duplicate item, that's when the extra item levels apply. It does somewhat adjust the number of item levels that you can expect from platinum chests, which is, we've got the new display in the shop that shows your expected item levels. And we shift that number based on basically your lowest rarity item on that character. So you'll notice if you have a champion who has, is completely itemless, you'll have a different number there than if you have a champion who's completely rare. The variability in that changes based on the number of chests you purchase or you open, and it doesn't take very long for it to basically converge on one sort of thing. So after about 6 chests, you will in general have all rare items, and there's not really a big difference between having all rare items and all epic items as far as the expected number of item levels is. I think it's within a couple percent at that point. And so the random chance of what you get rare and what you get epic is basically going to determine how many item levels you get from chests at that point. So while it is minorly more efficient to get all epics before you open platinum chests, it's not going to make that much difference down the road. If you open like an 84 chest pack on a naked champion versus a rare champion, a fully rared champion, or a fully epic champion, the number of item levels difference is going to be pretty minor. But that is why we have slightly different numbers there when we're advertising sort of the expected number of item levels.
Okay. Next question. This is from Shiny177. Is that Shiny177 or Shiny177?
We'll never know.
That's probably true. All right. Then what they'd like to know is, are there any updates on the Apothecary?
Updates on the Apothecary.
Coming soon, TM?
It is, yeah. I mean, I believe development is now underway. I saw some strings related to the Apothecary in the Well of Spoilers the other day, so
dun, dun, dun.
there must be something that's starting to get put in and thus go out. So yes, it is underway. We are looking forward to everyone getting their hands on that, because I think there's a lot of really great quality of life updates in that, especially and even for people who are gem farming. There's some ways to kind of make your lives easier while also perhaps taking some stress off of our poor little servers.
Right, because we're putting in those chaos gems, right?
Yeah, the chaos gems. Once you have 4 billion, once you've earned 4 billion gems, you can get 1 chaos gem, which you can use to unlock the Apothecary. No, that's not true. That's not true.
Step 1, overflow
Step 1,
gem storage. Step 2, Apothecary unlocked.
We talked to Peter about the, tangentially on that, we talked to Peter about the value that people were asking us to increase the value of, the gems earned value that's in the base data there. And apparently that value is no longer actually used for tracking gems in our system.
It's only used
on ByteGlow. And so we're only keeping it in there so that ByteGlow doesn't break. Otherwise, we would probably remove that value because we're using a different one now for tracking gems.
Yeah, I think it's a stat now, right?
Yeah, I think so. So that's fun.
So I think on that front, they could probably update, and then this problem would go away.
Yeah.
What a convenient way of saying not our problem.
I mean, it's our data that's being read, but it's a little bit it's legacy data, I guess. At this point.
I mean,
at least that's
that design of that particular tracking field was like left over from Crusaders. So
was it Crusade? Yeah, I guess
Yeah.
it probably was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I think the
Justin,
the
have you put your
column,
support ticket into
the,
Buckle?
I think the column is actually called like because they were called red rubies. I
Yeah,
think
they were.
in
Which was a
Crusaders.
weird, redundant field name. I'm not sure why
Yeah.
this was like.
Yeah.
I know I gave Nick a funny look when, when he wrote them, but it was too late. The field was everywhere.
It was. We'd seen it.
Yeah, we've seen it all.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that gets like almost 20 years old, I think. Oy, oy, oy.
Yeah. It's the red rubies spent stat. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Not our circus, not our monkeys. Yeah. Okay. Next question. This one is from Tara asking, we were finding the new UI changes for looting chests really nice, but it's hard to distinguish the shiny. Could we put a pip border or a silver symbol in the top right for clarity? Yeah, I think Peter was struggling a bit with making that look shiny when we were working on it.
Yes, so there were two parts to this. One is, so there's a stamp over every sort of item that got a card. It got one or more cards. And it will say shiny if it's the first time you've gotten a shiny. So you can it's a little bit easier to distinguish there. But if it's a duplicate shiny and it just added item levels, it'll just say the number of item levels. So I think part of this could be solved by just also having that shiny stamp, maybe having two stamps on it when you get a shiny duplicate. But yeah, I mean, aside from that, it's tough to visualize all the stuff. Fun fact about the chest opening screen, that was actually possibly our third iteration, like complete rework iteration of the chest opening. The chest opening stuff was actually originally supposed to make it into the game for the December 11th year-end quality of life updates. But the version that we had going into that Wednesday was not great. So we threw it out and started over in the new year. And this is the version we came up with. Yeah, it was a challenge to get that to be both intuitive and kind of show off all the information we wanted to show off, because there's a lot of stuff, a lot of numbers changing, a lot of potential things that can happen to a slot. And so in general, I'm pretty happy with it. I think, yeah, the shiny thing is really the one thing that I think we could still improve. And so I think we will try to do that to make it a little bit more obvious where your shinies land, especially if they're duplicate shinies.
Yep. Alrighty, next question. This is from Dust Mite. Yeah,
we did this.
Dust Mite X.
Dust Mite X.
Yeah.
We established this last show.
Asking, is there any chance that we could get a checkbox at the start of restart of an adventure to have familiars auto-assigned from the previous formation, or for them not to auto-assign? It is mildly frustrating for some adventures to have heroes summoned from familiars that have been auto-assigned.
Is that a thing that happens? Familiars being auto-assigned upon starting a new adventure?
If you have a Modron active, right, with the formation on it?
Set?
I would think so. I think they're tied to the Modron formation, but I could be wrong.
So is this if you do like a manual reset
with a Modron,
where you've got a Modron set to do a reset, and then
or even a Modron
that formation if you load into the right? I feel like there's kind of an edge case that's happening here that we probably don't want to be happening here, which is if you reset while you've got a Modron automation turned on, if you manually reset, we should probably just turn that off.
I don't know. I gotta think about, why would you not want your formation to start auto-assigned if you reset an adventure with a Modron?
I feel like it might happen if you load into like a variant or a different free play or something. You know, like imagine you have a Modron going and just doing like a free play and like resetting every whatever. And then you grab that party and you try and go do a variant in that same campaign that's got like some restrictions on it. And then it automatically loads that formation because it's still set on, load formation and reset. You probably wouldn't necessarily want that to happen. it just doesn't seem like the expected player or the expected
Yeah.
value.
I don't know.
Especially
I
like
I
if you
can't
go
see it
if you
being
go to a
harmful,
different
but
variant,
apparently, I mean,
think
obviously it's having an effect.
if you go into the same free play that it was already doing, I would expect it to stay on and load that same formation and do its thing. But if you went into a different, or like if you went from a free play to maybe if you load into something that's not repeatable, it should turn off. Like if you go into a variant, it shouldn't.
I mean, there's a cut saying if you change from a free play to a variant, it tries to load the champions that you can't, or it can try to load champions that you don't have.
That
or you
feels
can't have,
that feels like the proper behavior is that it should, if you have a motor automation going and you load into a thing that's not repeatable, it should just automatically turn off. But if you load into like a different free play in that same campaign, then it should stay on. Like if you're doing patron chores or whatever, and you need to switch to a different free play in order to farm a different type of creature or something like that, it should stay on because it can load the same party.
Yeah.
There's no skin off your back to like load the same party.
I mean,
but if you switch to a variant where like you could switch to a variant where it's like as soon as you've used this champion, you can't remove them from the formation, and then we're like that's
sure. I mean, it
obviously
seems like
not
an
a
edge case though, because I assume a lot of people would probably like to have it, like the fact that it does just start loading up champions for you isn't a bad thing most of the time.
Most of the time, but I think we
Yeah.
can agree that
And
if you load into a variant, it's probably one of those times where it's not
Yeah.
as useful.
I mean, again, this feels like I mean, I see in the chat, like, I see Garwar saying that actually that's preferred behavior or preferred behavior.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I would
Yeah.
keep it on in most cases. It just feels like if you're switching from, free play where you can actually automate and reset to somewhere where you can't automatically reset, that you might want to have a little bit more agency there.
Well, maybe then it just needs a pop-up that
A
says,
little
"Hey,
pop-up
would you like to turn this
it
off?"
or
Yeah.
not? Yeah.
All right. Well, I think it's definitely all of the time we have today.
Yep. If we didn't get to your question this week, and there's a bunch we didn't get to, don't fret. We will be available at this same time next week, and we'll be live at this same time next week. But before we sign off, sorry, I've done this so many times. I've just got completely. Before we sign off, we'd like to thank our tireless mod, Sean. Thanks, Sean.
I'm surprised you had to think so long for some of those answers then, if you've done this 700 times.
Well, it's the questions, they just...
In one year. Okay.
All right, fine. I admit it. That was just a bit. This isn't the 756th time that I've gone through this loop.
Liar!
It's only the third time I've gone through this loop.
All right. Anyway, and of course, thanks to all of you for hanging out, watching the stream, and enjoying the game. Because without you, no one here gets to do what we do.
And we like what we do.
That's true. All right. Enjoy the rest of your day, everyone.
So long.
So, Justin, did you know that garbage men don't get any training?
Actually did, yeah.
Yeah. They just pick things up as they go along.
Boo.